Okay, back to the Battle of Antietam. It was the single bloodiest day of the Civil War. 26,000 people died in one day. Robert E. Lee for the South, George McClellan for the North. The North actually had the advantage in this one. The North came across a Southern Confederate camp a couple days before, and a colonel had found these three cigarettes that were wrapped in paper, and the paper had planned strategy of where the South was going, and they were going to Antietam, Maryland, and so the North had the advantage. The battle, obviously, a huge blunder, 26,000 casualties. The North called it a win because the South did retreat, but it was kind of a loss on both sides, even though the North did claim victory. The Emancipation Proclamation, an important piece of information here, a document that Lincoln signed in the beginning of 1963, and this turns the tides of the war. It was all about, preserving the Union, bringing the United States back together. This is going to bring the slavery issue into debate. Um, what the Emancipation Proclamation did, it did not free the slaves everywhere. Okay, that doesn't happen until the 13th Amendment. The Emancipation Proclamation did free the slaves in the southern rebellious states. So those states that broke away and seceded from the Union, all their slaves would be free. Here's the hitch though, not a single slave was set free because, well, we didn't occupy that territory to free those slaves. Now, where it didn't free slaves was the border states. Those border states that were loyal to us, um, talking about Maryland, Delaware, Kentucky, Missouri, we didn't free any of those slaves because if we would have freed their slaves, they probably would have broke away and went with the Confederacy, and Lincoln didn't want that. So the Emancipation Proclamation is huge, and again, it just freed the slaves in the rebellious states. After that, African Americans were allowed to sign up for the war, and they signed up in big numbers. They wanted to prove their worth to the North, that they were equal to white men. For the first part of the war in 1863, they didn't see a lot of combat. They were used mostly for manual labor, cutting down trees, hauling supplies. It wasn't until the 54th Regiment out of Massachusetts, um, where Colonel Shaw, of course, you were commanded by white officers. You were in segregated units, all black units commanded by white officers. And they proved their worth in South Carolina, in Fort Wagner. They were the first regiment to take the fort, and if you're ever the first regiment to take a fort, you're going to have lots of casualties, and most of them were killed. But they got huge respect for being the first ones to try and take the fort. Unfortunately, the fort was never taken by the North. Um, but they're African Americans proving that they could be as good just as the white soldiers. Talked about Clara Barton in the video. She went on and formed the American Red Cross. Nurses were huge. 20,000 women served as Union nurses right on the battlefield, and dealing with the men's wounds. Land out west was given to people if they would sign up for a couple years of service for the Union Army. You could get fairly cheap land out in Iowa and Nebraska and other places out west. All right, how do you pay for this war? These wars are expensive. Both sides had to raise taxes. Both sides had to print money. They were called greenbacks, and they were bigger than the dollar bills that you have today. But when you start printing lots and lots of money, you have what is called inflation occurs, and your money is just not worth as much. And this was really bad in the South. They printed extremely a lot of Confederate dollars. And so as you can see here on this chart, how things just became more expensive. And shop owners were hoarding their food knowing that the prices would go up, and people in the South were starving at this time, and prices were just getting out of hand. Lincoln also created the income tax, which is not a big fan today. Obviously, that's where our, part of our paycheck, some of that money is given to the government. That was started during the Civil War to pay for this war, and bonds and other things like that. I want to talk about two wars, two battles. These are two turning points for the North, and they happened both in 1863 and they happened within about a week of each other. First, let's talk about Gettysburg. Gettysburg happened in Pennsylvania, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And this is odd because the South attacked the North, and they've only done that one other time, and that was Antietam, Maryland, the single bloodiest day battle. Well, they're trying to prove a point. If they can win a battle in the North, they might be able to prove to Britain and France to come in on their side. It also might end the war quickly. But this is not going to be a good battle for the South. They're going to lose a lot of men at Gettysburg. It's going to be a Union win, which is going to be a turning point for the North. It was a three-day battle, July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of 1863. As you can see, the North did have more troops, but again, remember the South has better generals, especially under General Lee. Here's a few clips from the movie called Gettysburg. It's an older movie, but I want to show you a few of these clips here.
Shooting again. Stops here. We are the flank. To our left, you will position the regiment. All company commanders here.
Yes, sir. Withdraw. Regiment, to the left of this. The whole damn Rev army is down there. They're coming up around our flanks. They could be here any minute. We've got to hold this place. We've got to hold it. Well, all right. I place you here.
So before I continue with this video, so this is the North, and they're in Gettysburg, and we actually got there first, so we were able to hold the high ground. Now, high ground is extremely important in this type of battle in the 1860s. This way you could shoot down at people, you could have cover, and while the enemy had to come uphill at you. So here you have Lieutenant Chamberlain, and he is put in the flank of the Union Army. So I'm going to just let this play out.
Put your colors here and set your regiment to the left of this line. The rest of the brigade will form on your right. Understood?
Yes, Ellis, this is the point.
Yes, sir. Now your regiment is to the left at this point. Colonel, sir, you're the end of the line.
Yes.
You are the extreme left of the Union Army. Understood? The line runs all the way from here back to Cemetery Hill, but it ends here.
Understood.
You cannot withdraw under any condition. If you go, this line will be flanked. If you go, the enemy will sweep up over the hillside and take this entire army from the rear. You must defend this place to the last.
Yes, sir.
Now we'll see how professors fight.
Ellis, position the regiment. All company commanders here.
Yes, sir. Sharpshooters to the left! Battalion! On the right, by file, into line! March! You've left. Sound the officer's call.
Right, but if you will look to our left, you will see that there is no one there. Because we're the end of the line. The Union Army stops here. We are the flank. You understand, gentlemen? We cannot retreat. We cannot withdraw. We are going to have to be stubborn today. So, you put the boys in position, you tell them to stay down. You pile the rocks up high. Get the best protection you can. You want the reserve pulled up about 20 yards. It's sloping ground. It's good ground. If you have any breakthroughs, if you have men wounded, if you have a hole in the line, you plug it with the reserve. All we fix for ammunition.
Sir, I think about 60 rounds per man.
That's good. 60 rounds, I think. Yes, that's adequate. Any questions?
Colonel, seems to me the fighting's on that side of the hill.
Yep, seems to me that we're the back door. Everything's going on at the front door.
Well, gentlemen, that hill is steep. It's rocky. It's bare. To come straight up, it is impossible. No, the Reb army is going to swing around. It's going to come up through that notch. Right over there. And move under the cover of trees. Try to get round the flank. Gentlemen, we are the flank. Gentlemen, God go with you. You boys, you're the Merrill brothers, am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, boys, why aren't you on the ground?
Well, sir, I can't shoot worth the darn lying down. Never could. Bill neither. We like to fight standing.
Well, then I suggest you find a thicker tree.
Here they come!
I want you to stay with me. You keep down. You keep down.
Yes.
Buster!
But the whole damn Rev Army's coming this way.
You should walk down the line. Tell the boys to get good cover, pile the rocks high. I'll take their time and to fire carefully. Just go down and come back.
Right. But, Colonel, you gotta keep an eye on them, Colonel. Some of them, they load and load. They never fire. They just keep right on loading. Some of them come home with 7, 8 bullets rammed up in the barrel. Never fired a shot.
Sir. Break in the line. Captain Clark, that's you. You understand? No breaks. All right. The right wing is going to sidestep to the left, thinning out to twice the present distance. Now you see the colors? The colors are... So this battle is going to go on, and they're going to keep holding off the South, but they eventually start running out of ammunition, and the South just keeps on coming, as you can see from some of these clips here.
Sir, we ought to pull out. No, we can't do that. We can't hold them again, sir. You know that.
Well, if we don't, they go on by and over the hill and the whole flank caves in.
Sir, here they come.
Can't run away. If we stay here,